From Neural Newscast, this is Model Behavior, AI-focused news and analysis on the models shaping our world.
Welcome to Model Behavior. This show examines how artificial intelligence systems are built, deployed, and operated in real professional environments. Today is June 9th, 2026. We are currently tracking a structural shift in the industry as Microsoft asserts its independence from its primary partner and the two biggest names in frontier AI prepare for public markets. Joining me to discuss these developments is Thatcher.
Nina, the headlines from Microsoft's Build conference on June 2nd are still reverberating across the sector. Microsoft announced 7 new AI models built entirely in-house by their Superintelligence team. This represents a significant pivot away from the previous arrangement, where Microsoft's branding was effectively a wrapper for OpenAI's GPT models. They have invested roughly $13 billion in OpenAI over the years, but this move suggests they want to own the core capability directly.
That focus on ownership is a major strategic hedge. Microsoft released a comprehensive 109-page technical report detailing their progress. The transparency in that report has been praised by independent researchers, however, which is rare in an era where these documents are often marketing materials. However, Microsoft is specifically comparing its results to older versions of Claude, which complicates their narrative of being toe-to-toe with the current state of the art.
That is an important distinction, Nina. While the transparency is welcome, independent verification of these performance claims is still in the early stages. The real story is the from-scratch nature of the training. Microsoft is working to remove the strategic exposure of relying on a partner whose interests might not always align with their own. This shift towards self-reliance is happening just as their partners are looking toward the entry into public markets.
Exactly. Yesterday, June 8th, OpenAI submitted its draft S1 to the SEC for a confidential IPO. This follows Anthropic's own filing back on June 1st, citing Reuters reports Anthropic is targeting a valuation of approximately $965 billion, which briefly overtook OpenAI on the secondary markets. OpenAI is targeting a debut as early as September 2026, with a valuation range between $730 and $852 billion.
It is fascinating to see that valuation gap, Nina. Anthropic is moving from a position of relative strength, telling investors it expects to report its first profitable quarter here in the second quarter of 2026. OpenAI, despite raising $122 billion this past March, has not reached that profitability milestone. When these S1 filings become public, the market will finally see the actual revenue trajectories behind these trillion-dollar ambitions.
The public markets are a different beast than the private venture world. While they prepare for listings, these companies are also issuing warnings about the technology. Anthropic recently called for a brake pedal on AI development, citing risks of recursive self-improvement. Reuters reported that as of May 2026, over 80% of the code merged into Anthropic's own codebase was authored by Claude. That is no longer a theoretical milestone. It is a shift in how these models are built.
I find that statistic particularly jarring, Nina. If AI is building the next generation of AI, the acceleration curve changes. However, there is a friction point here. Is this genuine safety concern or regulatory capture? When a near trillion-dollar company calls for a pause, smaller competitors often hear an attempt to freeze the race now that the leaders are ahead. Anthropic and OpenAI are asking for trust as they become central authorities in AI governance, while their valuations depend on continued scaling.
That tension will be a primary focus for public market investors. For the users, the models keep arriving. We have seen a rapid evolution through the Claude family, moving from the 3.5 breakthrough last year to the current flagship, Opus 4.8, which was released in May. These models are increasingly focused on agentic workflows and real-world reliability. That is what enterprise customers are actually buying. They want governable intelligence they can defend to their boards.
Right. Reliability is the product now. Whether it's Microsoft building its own superintelligence stack or Anthropic scaling the Claude 4 family, the industry is shifting from asking, can it do this, to how do we govern it as it does this? The coming IPOs in the second half of 2026 will be the ultimate stress test for whether the public markets believe in that governance story.
Thank you for listening to Model Behavior, a Neural Newscast editorial segment. For more on these technical reports and IPO filings, visit mb.neuralnewscast.com. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.
This has been Model Behavior on Neural Newscast, examining the systems behind the story